So we are on the fourth part of our trip through Spain, Andalusia for the most part. You can catch the rest of those episodes in the playlist. It's going to be a slightly shorter one this week. We had finally made it back from Merida through Seville and to Cordoba. Now, Cordoba is a pretty unique place. You likely already know that these videos are a stealth history lesson wearing the guise of an innocent-looking travel blog. If you go to Cordoba now, there's a lot to love, but you wouldn't necessarily know why the city is so noteworthy, not just in Spain, but in the world. For a time, Cordoba would be at the epicenter of an incredibly dynamic Islamic kingdom, or I should say emirate or later caliphate, in Spain. To give you an idea of its significance, by the 900s, Cordoba's population may have got as high as 1 million. For reference, London wouldn't reach that milestone until the end of the 1700s, and the only other city that was comparable at that time was Constantinople. It had street lighting, at a time when just building in stone in England was the exception rather than the rule, mostly reserved for churches. I wish I could say that more of this exceptional metropolis was intact from its 10th century zenith, but well, we'll get into specifics in a bit. However, while the iconic mosque is the principal surviving fragment of this golden age, the city still retains an incredible buzz. A maze of streets and tiled rooftops that lead you in circles. The old town is utterly engrossing without a real need for an agenda. Like Seville, we featured this on our very first episode, for which I scarcely came close to filming enough material, so it was great to be capturing more of it. Not only that, our last stay was fleeting. It was scarcely a day, so it was a pleasure to be getting some more time here. Also, like last time, we got there on the train from Seville. Have been pretty impressed with the high-speed rail around Spain. The network is, it's pretty great. We walked from the station through the town centre. It was exciting. Last time we were here, it appears we walked virtually the exact same route just by complete happenstance. And I recall how I meant to come back through and get some shots of these places, but we were tight enough for time that I never got the chance. I think I explained this before, but don't expect the streets to intersect in the manner that you hope. They have a habit of going on for what seems like an eternity before you're actually presented with an option to turn left or right. So our Airbnb was amazing, actually. Views over this entire square. Although the door was comedically narrow. Like, I can't really illustrate this properly on camera, but the opening is considerably narrower than a pair of adult human shoulders. We pretty much shot right out again, and I hadn't planned this ahead of time, but almost without thinking, we once again ended up taking about the same route as last time, crossing the river to the far bank. It does crack me up just how ugly this bridge is, not least because if you know what's coming, Cordoba is famous for its gorgeous Roman bridge, but wow, you really have to get up early to make a bridge this ugly. There's an esplanade on the other side which is modern and spacious, but it's curious that all of the trees remain at height to pretty much completely block your view of the opposite bank. But still, a few moments later, and the view unfurls in front of you, and there it is. I mean, it's near irresistible. The Roman bridge stretching across with the Mezquita on the other side. Not to be a fusspot, that crane was also there last time, which, I mean, geez guys, you've had since at least 2018, that sort of smacks of not trying. And speaking of things that still lingered from last time, seriously, 4 years later, and still with the accordion? I mean, for all the descant recorders of Hades, what part of this elegant historical scene made you think that an accordion was what it was missing? I mean, I'm sorry if your parents were pirates, and this is the only marketable skill you've been left with that isn't cutting throats, but that instrument really belongs in the river. And look, my usual shtick is not finding things to complain about, or I'd be on my 14th, what's the deal with airline food gag, so I'll just get these out of the way early. Yeah, great place for a scissor lift, guys. Yeah, no hot pink. I mean, sure, you can't spoil the view any more thoroughly. Maybe spray paint the arch blue while you're up there. So, took a casual lap of the Mezquita, enjoying the spectacular facades. With the incessant hammering of the builders, the inside had also come in for some sort of construction project. I mean, I must get it. If you're going to be undertaking an intrusive construction restoration project or two, you might as well go all in and have 15 going at once. But hey, never mind. Do you remember that highlight from last time where you climbed the bell tower? Well, I mean, I'm glad you've got fond memories because you're not doing that either. No tours for any of you. Explanation? That's cute. So I don't know, there's not an inconsiderable lag between me filming these and getting them released, so hopefully your experience might differ. Then again, wouldn't shock me if 3 years from now, same scissor lift, same crane, same accordion, probably still there. It's not to be curmudgeonly, it's just so annoying when it's your turn to finally go and see somewhere and it turns out it's just an eternal building site. Okay, so what else? Well, last time we were here, because it closed at something like 2 o'clock, we missed the Alcazar by about 3 minutes, but we brushed it off. I mean, the review said it couldn't hold a candle to, for example, the Seville Alcazar, but this time we weren't going to miss it again. I mean, that is until we nearly did. So we'd queued up and we'd got to the tape and then the guys just booted us out. Couple of sentences in Spanish, that's it, nope, just go away, go. So, apparently you need a reservation. Wait, this isn't a hotel, right? We're not trying to sleep here. Well, okay, so we and a gratifyingly high number of other confused tour groups were attempting to grapple with this online form. It's very badly designed, and amongst other things, it would not accept your mobile number. I mean, country code or non, +sign, spaces, just wouldn't take any of it and wouldn't let you proceed without it. We were just fortunate that someone tipped us off. It was expecting a 9-digit number. You know, all those 9-digit mobile numbers that no one has? So, a few numbers deleted and so now we can come in. Well, spectacular. Well done for throwing up a complication purely just to get on everyone's tits. Well, it's pretty nice. The architecture of the later Christian rulers seems positively impoverished compared to the Islamic architecture of the area, but it still has some charm, and the palace is quite a small area. The real star of the show is the gardens. Let's have a quick supercut. Having done a lap, we headed out just as the sunlight for the day was almost spent. This won't seem like a spectacular piece of journalistic insight, but just the feeling of being Cordoba again was amazing. Just the buzz and the atmosphere, which the footage doesn't really quite capture adequately, but just being back in Andalusia and Cordoba in specific was a real rush. You just have to be here and walk the streets for yourself. It is an entirely singular experience that you can't really duplicate elsewhere. It was a little wait for the restaurants to open. Nice enough dinner from a place opposite the flat. We took a bit of a loop into Cordoba to see it at night. The glass in the windows of our Airbnb might as well have not been there. So every so often someone would have what sounded like a dramatic reenactment of Othello in Spanish, just a few yards below. Okay, next morning. Got to see the cathedral, which I wasn't expecting that early. There is a free slot on, I think it's Sundays at 8:30am, but when I passed, there was just this huge throng of tourists all going in with security just waving everyone through. So whatever the deal was, I headed in with everyone, free, it would seem. Now, the Mosque of Cordoba is famous for this sort of forest of columns and arches. It was added to by subsequent generations so that when the city reached its biggest size, it had sort of like quadrupled or even octupled in size. Thankfully, a bit like the Seville mosque built by the Almohads, the Christian conquerors opted, rather than demolishing the mosque, to just adapt it. So in the middle, you have this rather incongruous of Catholic section. That's the bit you can sort of see sticking up when you view the mosque at a distance. As I am probably boring you by saying in this series, we are going to give a lot more details on the history of Al-Andalus in future episodes. It's building to be a big series. We've still got quite a few bits we need to film for that, so I'm afraid you're going to have to wait for a much more in-depth explanation, but I can't really emphasize enough, both for its size and its antiquity. This is an utterly unique site in the world to visit. You have to go and see this. We had a pretty chill day with the rest of our morning. We did briefly see these baths, which are another sort of survivor from the sort of golden age of Al-Andalus, though of course only fragmentary. The clouds definitely put me in a more mellow mood. We circled through the old town, got a bit of a better look at the walls. Eventually we came round and we headed to the tower at the far end of the bridge, which has a selection of exhibits which give you a modest cross-section of all the reasons you should be hype about Al-Andalus. We also popped into the town museum. It's not huge, but it's well put together and it's got an interesting selection. Particularly enjoyed the Visigothic bits in there. Lunch with some cheap tapas-ish bits. We dropped into this place, Cafe Gloria, and the espresso was okay. I mean, yeah, fine. I guess the big difference is, all through this trip I was on the lookout for coffee shops in Spain. That's just not so much of a thing. It looks like the latte boom of the late 90s never really took place here, so the cafes are still doing pretty much the same thing they did some 20, 30 years ago. I mean, this was pretty good just from this bar/restaurant down by the Cordoba station. We had a few hours to kill, so to be honest, I spent the last few hours in Cordoba day drinking, and then it was bus back to Malaga for our flight the next day, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, sorry this is slightly shorter as an episode. At time of writing this summer, we're in between a bunch of different trips, and so I needed this edit to be slightly shorter so I could get it out. I'm going to put a big supercut here, and then we're going to finish up. So it's been really great finally getting these Spain episodes out. I must say, having watched all the footage back, I'm kind of itching to go back and explore more. We've still got a ton of things to see, especially in northern Spain, which we haven't really covered yet. If you've been enjoying the music in the background, it's ours. We make all the music for these episodes, and you can find it all on bandcamp.com. If you want to support the channel, that's the place to do it. Unusually, I haven't fully decided what the next episode's going to be, so I'm just going to tease a bunch of random footage here. We have another Spain episode which can go in the playlist. Do check that out, by the way. We've got a bunch of episodes from the Balearic Islands and some more stuff you can see there. But I think there's a couple of things we're probably going to get in first. So please drop a like and a comment on this video. You can find us on all the socials, and we'll catch you again very soon.